Yesterday, I was in the car with my mom and my dad, and my parents are in their 70s, their mid to late 70s. And so they've been around the block a hot minute, okay? They were teenagers in the 60s, okay? So we were having this conversation about the world, about, the current times that we're living in, like everything. And my mom, she made this statement about how we need to have some kind of like underground railroad type situation going on in this country, right? And just in general for like information and everything and stuff like that when it comes to things like, activists who stood up for, Palestine and stood up for the people going through a genocide. The activists who were out in the streets for the last 2 years. The activists, the students who made encampments on campuses, like for their safety, but also for the safety of those going through these ICE raids, which do include Palestinian people, as we know. And she was just like, we need to have some kind of offline system where people, can get information about safe places to be, where they can, we can fight all of this, but offline and like off the grid. And like, we can make these like safe spaces for people to, be able to fight all of this, right? And I said, yes, that is an incredible, incredible idea. Love it. Totally down, right? But then I said, we're going to have to use the internet a little bit just because, certain people are not going to want to get off the internet. So you're going to have to use it a little bit just to even get them to come outside. But then I also said this, and I pointed to the building, because we were in the car. So I was pointing to this building, that building, this building. And I said, all of those things are still intact. Those things are still standing. And that is the reason why a lot of you don't care about what's going on in this world. And it actually sickens me because the reason y'all don't care is because y'all are not seeing the real threat and imminent danger that we are all in, right? We tried to tell you 2 years ago that this is what was going to happen, right? And y'all didn't listen. We tried to tell you that what's going on right now in Palestine, the Congo, Sudan, all of it connects. And it's all going to come back on us. One day, our living situation could look just like it looks in Gaza right now. But y'all didn't listen. Y'all didn't listen, right? And we've been trying to get y'all to listen, and y'all just ignore everything we have to say, right? And this is what I had to say to my mom when she said that. I was like, all these buildings are intact, so nobody cares because there's not a bunch of rubble everywhere like there is in Palestine. But also, all of what's going on in Palestine could have been over like that. The minute we found out about, well, y'all found out about it, I knew about this stuff. But the minute that the collective consciousness found out about all of what was going on in Palestine, learned what was going on in Palestine, educated themselves about what was going on in Palestine, got on board, we could have ended all of that. We could have stopped paying our taxes. We could have stopped, doing things business as usual. We could have really come together collectively to stop what is going on in Palestine, which would have also collectively helped ourselves. Y'all didn't want to do it. Y'all didn't want to do it. Y'all didn't want to do it. We continued to rally for a free Palestine. Y'all told us to shut up. We kept going. Then the election happened. Shut up. Don't protest. Don't protest elected officials. Just wait. Just wait till they get elected. Stop protesting. They don't get elected. It's y'all's fault. Okay, well, the man's in office now. What are we going to do? Nothing. We're sitting out. We're not doing anything. Okay? Yeah. Even though we had the power collectively to take out this man in 5 minutes, we didn't have to go see the chaos that is going on. And yet, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? We're sitting on our butts. We're sitting on our phones. We're complaining about this and that and the third. Again, stop paying our taxes. Stop giving money to the capitalistic system. We don't have to do all of this. And I know it seems easier said than done, and you're going to say, but what about the people who really need these jobs because they need... I'm not saying stop working. I'm not saying stop feeding your families. I'm not saying... But there are ways and there are things that we could be doing collectively that we're not doing. We're not standing up enough because we don't seem to really care, because a lot of this stuff is not happening to us directly. Even with these ICE raids, a lot of this stuff is not happening to us directly. And that's the problem, is that a lot of you are not having these things happen to you directly. And because of that, y'all don't care. Y'all don't care. You're not going to care until it's too late. You're not going to care about any of this stuff until it's too late. And I'm not going to say that there are going to be people out here who are going to say, I told you so, I warned you, you needed to get up and you needed to do something, but you sat there and you didn't do anything, and now look at where things are, right? Because we know that it can get a lot worse. Right now we're seeing the very tippy tip of the iceberg. But we know it can get 10 times worse, and we're not collectively doing enough for it. October 7th was bad. It was bad. But we saw the tippy tip of the iceberg. Now we've seen everything that's happened in the last 2 years, and a lot of you have done nothing about it. Because it's overseas, because it doesn't involve you, because your house is not in rubble, because buildings are still standing around you, because you still have money in your pocket, even if it's just chump change. You still have money in your pocket because you can still go to the grocery store, even if, you have to work 5-6 jobs. You can still go to the grocery store. You can still, go to the movies if you save up enough money for it. You can still do leisurely things. You can still have a not great, but an okay life. And there are people out here who can't have that. But y'all don't care because the buildings around you are still standing. You're still okay for the most part, and your world doesn't look like it looks in Palestine or Sudan or Congo. Your world doesn't look like that. And I think until it does, you're not going to ever care. And that makes me sad. Because there are those of us who've been standing up and really been using our voices and our platforms and have actually been outside doing things, right? But there's so many of you who just business as usual, and you pretend like things are not happening. And it's just like, when is it going to be bad enough? When is it going to be bad enough? Because I don't know when that is, but I tell you when it is, it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. When are we going to actually come together collectively and do something? Whether that's for Palestine, Sudan, Congo, whether that's for us with these ICE raids or the military coming into these cities, when are we going to do something? And no, it's not just Donald Trump. We know that. It's both parties. It's both parties. And those of you who still believe in this two-party system are whack. And you know you are. You know it's never really been about the right or the left because they're in cahoots with each other. We all know that it is a rich versus poor, okay? And it always has been. It's about capitalism. And it always has been, right? It's about capitalism. It's about colonialism. It's about white supremacy. And that can take forms on the right and the left. Let's be honest. It's about us who are not making enough to feed our families, who have to work these menial jobs, 2 or 3 or 4 of them, who have to do all of these crazy things just to make ends meet. And we can't even afford to go to the doctor. Our health is terrible. All of these things, right? But we're not willing to get up and change anything. And I'm not even talking about those who are, working these 4 or 5 jobs, who are tired, who are trying to just make ends meet. I'm not really talking about you. I'm talking about the other people who are seeing what's going on, who maybe are a little bit more stable, but aren't doing anything about it. And it's like, when are we going to stand up and actually collectively come together and do something about all of this?